one thing that a lot of people don't realize, it's pretty common now whether you have a point-and-shoot camera or a DSLR camera, they pretty much all come with a zoom lens. It's very rare that you'll find a DSLR kit lens that doesn't come with a zoom, that sort of thing. There's a misconception among a lot of photographers. They just think it's just to get you closer. But one thing everyone needs to immediately recognize and start to utilize and learn is the different perspectives that different lenses, i.e. different focal lengths, provide. Obviously, we've got a model shoot this evening, but I've thrown a couple of buildings in just to give you the example. Now, this is the 35mm equivalent. There's all your cameras have an X factor. What that means is depending on the size of the lens and the camera sensor. So if your camera is a Panasonic camera, Panasonic like a GH1 or a G1 or something, it's got a 2 times X factor. So if your lens says 20 millimeters, you have to double it 2 times. So it's actually a 40. So what you're looking at here is actual lenses I've already converted. So you're looking at a 24mm lens, actual. And in this, you're looking at a 60. So see the difference, huge difference in perspective. Look at the top frame, how the angles of the pillars, the columns bend in. Look at the peak of the roof. And then look at the same building shot with a 60. Now, all I've done is backed up a little, zoomed in the 60. And the reason I'm showing you this examples is they also apply when you're shooting people. This is my poor unfortunate doorman. I grabbed him as I was heading out the door one day to knock these out. And look at his face. Look how long it is in the top shot. Look how big his nose is and how sort of bugged out his glasses are compared with the top shots with the 24, bottom shot with the 60. So the 60, he looks normal. You know, his nose looks average size and that sort of thing. Up here is everything just looks elongated. And, you know, he's got an 8 head instead of a 4 head. You know, that's the sort of thing. So first thing you need to do is pay attention to your focal length. The longer the lens, the more flattering it is when you're shooting people in a studio setting or in any setting, actually. Good. Oh, we got a perfect smile on that one. That's great. Very nice. Okay, another thing that is useful, we already talked about focal length in terms of using a longer lens, that sort of thing. Now, what I'm using right now is I'm at about on this lens is a 2 times X factor. My lens is set at 40. Double it. I'm on an 80mm lens. 80 up into around 150 makes a nice portrait lens. The longer the lens, the more you're going to avoid any kind of, we talked about the ballooning of the face, the larger nose, that sort of thing. So I'm going to maybe hedge my bets a little bit, back up just a touch, and now I'm going to be shooting at a bit longer lens, maybe 100mm, that sort of thing. Now, another thing that's very useful is the angle that the camera is on in relation to our subject. I run into this all the time where if we've got students who are not that tall, you know, if the camera's down here, now stand up for a second for me, Becca. Becca's 5'6". 5'8". 5'8". Whoa, Becca's 5'8" with heels right now. If my camera's down here, I'm looking up. If my camera, right now, my camera's about level where Becca is. And one of the reasons I sat Becca down, go ahead, sit down, is I got a little bit of a downward angle. So that the most flattering pose you're going to get on a camera is either level with the eyes or slightly above.